Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. Wish you a happy and healthy start to this lovely little Monday morning over here. I just got a nice 30-minute walk-in and ready for the day. A little bit of an early morning wrap-up, if you want to call it that, before the day begins. And then we'll do a live stream later today, obviously, and I'll be even on Twitch as well. Anyways, with that said, let's put a quick focus on the Krown chain application. A couple major things actually sticking out like a sore thumb right here. Bitcoin dominance continues with the downtrend. Most importantly, just seeing the macro move here continue to unfold as most altcoins having a pretty damn good time versus their Bitcoin Satoshi pairing. I imagine in the top 10 best coins, top 10 worst coins over here, we see some major winners over the last 24 hours. Talking about Neo, KuCoin, Solana, Qtum, Helium, UMA. What the fuck is that? Don't know, but it's up 28%, so it doesn't matter. IOTA, Dogecoin, Digibyte, and Ontology all having themselves massive gains, at least 3.5% or more. Just insane. On the other side, though, we do see that a few coins getting absolutely smashed in the face, like I think this is Bitmax token right here, BTMX. Other than that, though, not really seen too much destruction. In fact, as you would expect, especially after Bitcoin having that major almost $10,000 day down on Sunday or Saturday early morning. Anyways, with that in mind, I do want to save most of the other things for later today, but I do want to point out that the open interest still kind of maintaining the same range, 10.5 billion, as Bitcoin did come down from about 13.5 billion over the last few days. And what does this essentially imply as far as the higher term timeframes go? That as long as we don't see this actually have a break in structure plus open interest go up, I do look at this essentially longs taking profit. Doesn't mean that I can't turn around, but we don't have that signature just yet is the main thing that I want to be saying. Anyways, into the price action charts we go. I want to start off with traditional marks today because as long as traditional marks are bullish, I'm going to be generally bullish on just about everything as it does help with the good old biases right here. And what do you know? NASDAQ lifting off for looking like a new all-time high in sight as it does complete yet again another ascending triangle or whatever the fuck you want to call this. I might even just refer to this as an uptrend right here, and even having a resolution, you might even say as of right now for the breakout traders, they might be looking at this high right here in the 16th of April at 1459 and a half. However, I look at this as more or less fine in its current posturing. Nice little volume spike on that last little move to the upside on pretty much new all-time high as far as I'm concerned. Remember, last week closure was really good, and that does set into the buys for this week to come. I'd be looking for new all-time highs, still looking for a long-term price target somewhere around the three spot 618 Fibonacci extension here at about $15,000 with an area of interest along the way right around about 14,250-ish region. Anyways, intraday though, could we see a little bit of a pullback? I'm gonna really wouldn't be asking for too much, but I do see that we've already kind of come back down and retest the prior all-time high right here. So far so good. In fact, that is about as good of a response as you can get. Wouldn't mind another move down to 13,850-ish region, but overall I am going to be remaining bullish here, very likely for the week to come. Wouldn't be even surprised to see the 14,250 target get hit sometime this week, or perhaps before the end of the month, before the end of this month, as we do have. Yeah, about actually just about what is this, 10 days, almost 10 days left in the trading month. There is only 30 days in April according to my calendar, so a little bit of a shorter month. Anyways, with that said, daily looking good here too, weekly looking good. All systems go, especially with techs having their major earnings this week. Actually, last week for financials was more or less good, so NASDAQ I do remain more or less bullish on the whole, and that is going to play into the bias for just about everything else that we look at here. On top of that, we see SPY futures, same shit basically, even more strong. I'd go as far as saying that SPY is actually leading right now. This one's still legging up, and I would still keep an eye on the next major target that we have, about 4,200-ish region right here. Now that is starting to look a little bit more egregious as far as the long term goes, but with that in mind, it doesn't mean that we can't, see a quick move up there, then reaccumulate and try for a move higher. But I would remain cautiously bullish, at least for the short and medium term right here, right now. And goddamn, this is just a stair step to heaven right now. But overall, I do think that it has one more leg here at the very least, and then we get to play the game of, is this a reversal or consolidation before further continuations? But for right now, I do remain bullish, and that does play into the NASDAQ bias as well. And of course, Dow Jones futures, same thing. This one a little bit less in comparison to the other two. However, this one actually looking for maybe even a little bit of a short-term pullback, like 33,900, maybe even 33,850-ish region, anywhere around there would be looking for bouncy bounces. With the weekly in mind, though, I'm still looking for new all-time highs on this one over the medium and long term, and still keeping a keen eye on the 34 and 850-ish target. But that's not necessarily the big one for myself. Anyways, my main point is that all major indices for the U.S. that I do track, still looking for further continuation here, again, into a big tech earning week. And that is typically what you do see when the expected result is going to be more or less good. The traditional sort of knowledge with this is that a strong stock will rally into its earnings, and weak stocks typically, fall into their earnings, to kind of play out those expectations. Anyways, with that said, it's very likely, or it's not very likely, it's very obvious that we are getting priced in, some good earnings right now. So with that in mind, keep an eye on that. I imagine a lot of that's going to be on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. So keep a keen eye out. But at least for now on Bitcoin, what can we say? So Bitcoin did close the weekly above the 10 simple, did also close the daily above our pivot yesterday at $56,000, just barely above, but still definitely above 56,250-ish region. And so far so good on the bounce, as we did say yesterday. We did say that Bitcoin likely plays within a range between about 56.5 and 54 to the downside. We did test the downside range once again, no problems there. But most importantly, the reaction, or the response, I should say, thus far has been okay, and we can look at this thus far as another higher low in a series of higher lows. And yes, I would remain, I suppose, cautiously sideways and up from that nice slow structure that we do see right there. Obviously, a couple of fundamental things come into this market as well, as we do see that the Chinese miners, which do comprise a strong majority of the hash rate, did get shut down. They did get their power shut down for a little bit over Saturday, Sunday, and that decreased the hash rate by, I believe, about 40%, which is kind of significant. And that is one of the biggest critiques of Bitcoin right now, is that the mining power technically is centralized. So while we do have a decentralized asset in nature, in reality, as far as the mining goes, as it is right now, and I'm not saying that this can't change. In fact, I imagine it will definitely change over time. But there is, points of failure here, and this is actually a good thing to be bringing up, because while I'm a Bitcoin fan, while I do believe in Bitcoin, it is important to acknowledge some of the I wouldn't say failures. I mean, it's not a failure, but what it would be considered is some of the risks, of course, and that would certainly be one of them. So that obviously getting ticked off. Then I think, we saw a few other news pieces come into the market, of which most of them unsubstantiated, so I probably won't even talk about it. But in this case right here, as far as TA goes, the range did hold as we laid out yesterday, and I'd be looking for this now, as we have taken up the top side of the range at 56,500-ish region, played a little bit more sideways, and then give another try to the upside, probably within this next day and a half here, as we do see lower term time frame momentum oscillators turn up. We do see 4-hour RSI getting to levels that we haven't seen actually since quite some time. In fact, you can see that the last time we even saw a level like this was way the fuck back on over here in September 2020. By the way, that was actually one of the last major amazing buy opportunities, actually, when Bitcoin was trading just a few bucks below $10,000 before getting reaccumulated right here, and then going for that massive 6x from 10,000 to 60,000 bucks. So I do think that does deserve a little bit of a little bit of merit. But more importantly, right now, what I want to see is Bitcoin create a little bit more of an established range. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bitcoin come back down and maybe even graze like 54.5 to 55,000 bucks. But ultimately, we do have a nice base in price action right now. On a 4-hour close, should be 53,350, which is actually very not very much welcomed by myself. A little bit too much risk, but even on a 12-hour, we got the same thing too. So unfortunately, it is going to be a rather large range. Just kind of has to be that way when you're dealing with big numbers, and that is the risk that we take on as traders when you're trading an asset that's nearly 60,000 bucks. You're going to have multi-$1,000 worth of short-term ranges here. But yes, if I go up to the 12 hours, you can see 53,250-ish region. Going to be coming in at multiple levels there. So I would be looking for first Bitcoin to probably push back a little bit. I imagine if we see any sort of hidden divergences on like an hourly, for example, that is going to be pretty damn indicative that we do see that next move to the downside. But again, as long as we don't take out that last low, I don't see any major issues with this. And while I would be looking for a short-term pullback here, maybe somewhere back down just below 55,000 bucks, ultimately I would be looking for that to get picked up first and foremost, and we can now construct a new range. Although I guess I already have one in here correlated with the last major low. We can actually move this up now to where Bitcoin is currently playing in, and that would be right here. And let's just mark this baby off. Boom and boom, and there we go. Nice little liquid zone at the bottom side of this. correlates well with past ranges over here too, so I really like that. And now we can actually just mark off that area and use that as a management for more long-term trades based off of even a short and medium-term time frame here. With that in mind, I do want to call out that HVP did redline on that move too, which is, was also kind of playing the bias that, hey, we've probably seen the extent of this move, at least for right now, and Bitcoin going sideways and playing on a little bit of an oversold bounce, right, is very likely to happen. We're also seeing 4-hour TSI turn up, or at least seemingly wanting to turn up right here. In fact, getting to the same level that we have seen it kind of bottom out several times, you can see in the past. And I'm going all the way back to September 2020, so we already saw that one, November 2020, and then of course January 2021, and then more recently in the 25th of March. So all of these are major lows. We're talking about obviously the 10,001 down here. November was right here. January was right here. And then more recently in March was way over here. So all of these being incredibly important lows, I would be looking at this first and foremost, at the very least, to have a nice bounce opportunity. Problem is, CME does have a pretty massive gap to the upside. In this case, we do see that that gap would be coming in somewhere around about 61,500-ish region. So if Bitcoin does actually pop back up and fulfill that region, I would be looking for a pullback on the other side first and foremost. But for right now, I don't really think that is it's not really relevant to where Bitcoin's currently postured, right? Still about 4,000, 5,000 bucks away. Anyways, should also call out this trend line on the 4-hour TSI for Bitcoin futures here on CME, and we are actually hitting that right here right now. On top of that, I also want to call out this one here too on 4-hour Stokes for CME. This one working incredibly well. In fact, it looks like I already have it in there. What I'm referring to is this one back here coming in from our March lows once again, and we will be testing, or we pretty much are testing that right here right now. So overall, whether you're bullish or bearish, I'd be looking for Bitcoin to play out a little bit of a short-term sideways range. Probably does test the downside once again. I wouldn't be surprised to see another 54.5 test to 54,000 bucks even, but as long as there's no closures below that region, the 4-hour range that we identified right here on this chart, I believe it was, I do look for this to essentially get reaccumulated, and at the very least try another move back up somewhere around about 60,000 bucks. And as long as Bitcoin is holding these higher low structures, I can't really get too bearish on it just by my own rules. Doesn't mean that it can't turn around on its own, but it should be denoted here that Bitcoin on the daily will be putting in hidden bullish divergence if it is not done right now, but if and only if Bitcoin can put in a higher low right here. How would Bitcoin confirm a higher low? Well, I can tell you one thing: it ain't fucking happening today. At least it'd be extremely unlikely to happen today. Earliest it would feasibly happen would be tomorrow. But if you see a bit of a range today between, let's say, like 54.5 and kind of where Bitcoin is right now, maybe even up to like 57.5 region, and then tomorrow Bitcoin takes out the top side of that range, then yes, we could start to look at that as as yet again another higher low. That would be implicative of hidden bullish divergence over here, and then I'd be looking for that move to about 60,000 bucks, fill the CME gap, and then keep an eye out for that as as it's game on once again. So plenty of opportunities within that, but again, wrapping up my thoughts right here, short-term time frames, looking for a range. I do think that Bitcoin likely comes back down, at the very least tests 55,000 bucks, maybe even a little bit lower than that at 54 to somewhere around the 4-hour 377. Classic shit right there. However, I don't think that Bitcoin's getting ready to break the range just yet to the downside. If it does, however, that would be my conditions for that, and I would be looking for a move down to 50,000 or 51,000 bucks, probably a bounce there, and then continuation lower. But that would be the real move. If that does happen, that's going to be really indicative of this whole baby topping over and playing out some actual downside. But remember, as far as the monthly goes, I am very hesitant to get bearish here, as we do once again have that same condition being met where Bitcoin's low side of this month's dildo has tested the top side of the Krown band, and for the past 6 months that have actually been phenomenal buy areas coming off this region right here. At some point, that trend obviously will fail. Could it be this point right here? Potentially, yes, but it has been working for the past 6 months. So until it stops working, there's at least no need to be upset. Anyways, with that said, I'm going to be signing off right now. Actually, I should probably overlay in a condition for topside range here too. Problem with the topside range is actually it's a little bit difficult right now. I would be using the 200 simple on the 4-hour, if anything. That's about 58,000 bucks. So as long as we're below there, I do think that the upside is a little bit capped. But above 58,000 bucks, yeah, I'd be looking for that run to 61,500 bucks right there. But yeah, anyways, I think that's going to do it for right now. I'd like to wish you the best once again. I'll be back on later with some more live stream analysis. Take care and see you potentially soon.